Today, right here, would like to welcome our first ever celebrity customer for an interview. And you will see it is Jackie Weaver, who is now famous worldwide for her chairing style of a particular meeting with Handforth Council. Jackie, how did all that start?
Well, as you rightly say, John, I mean, it all started back in 10th of December, when there was a very difficult Handforth Parish Council meeting. Well, I say very difficult. The first 10 minutes were difficult. The rest of it went back to being what a council meeting is. And, probably I don't have much to say after that. They probably talked a lot more about planning and legitimately things that were of interest to Handforth. I don't live in Handforth, so it was perhaps not quite as interesting as an innocent bystander. But the video was picked up by a couple of politics students down in London, a couple of young people. And what they did was they kind of edited the video so it was more suitable for YouTube. So it was shorter, and that made it punchier, and that made it more impactful. Don't get me wrong, they didn't change the content,
Right.
But they just took out the little bits in the middle, which are kind of diffuse the last moment or two before you go into the next difficult moment. So it all became very intense very quickly.
It certainly did. There's obviously history behind that.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
There are clearly two factions in the council. And the sad thing about it is that, although you see the three very active councillors, there were three councillors behind that whose only interest in turning up that night was to talk about planning issues in Handforth. And I think you wouldn't have seen their faces. I of course, as a Zoom editor, saw them. They just looked nonplussed. Kind of that sense of, please get us out of this as soon as you can.
Right. Would you normally have attended that meeting, or were you riding in like a marshal to sort out the town or something?
Oh, bless you. No, I don't chair, I don't clerk parish council meetings. But what I do is, in my day job, I provide support, help and guidance. We do training as well.
Yeah.
So when what had happened later on was that the chairman had in fact suspended the clerk. So that meant they had no one to press the buttons and make the Zoom meeting work that night. And I knew they had issues, so I wasn't going to send a colleague in. I thought I better go do it myself.
Yeah.
So now I think it's all fairly quiet in Handforth. They have their clerk back.
Yeah.
And business as usual.
And local government rolls on as it should.
Well, it's raised lots of interesting issues. I mean, that's kind of why I do this. It's twofold. I mean, one, that there is definitely a humorous element to it. I mean, you can't argue that. When you see people of a certain age lose it, I think that some people will laugh out of embarrassment, and some people will laugh because they think it's funny. But at the end of the day, it was kind of like all played out very quickly, and it was a story of good versus evil. Exaggerating. And in the end, you saw that the quiet people got what they needed. They got their meeting and moved on. And again, that happens over and over again. I mean, not that kind of issue, but over and over again, you're seeing local councils that discuss things with passion.
Yeah.
Sometimes spills over into harsh words, but they move on. Their passion is for their local community.
Yeah.
And good on them. Just grateful that they are there.
I've got to say that's always been my impression of councillors, that that they are after the best for their communities.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes they disagree, and very occasionally, very occasionally, things get to the sort of state that your meeting did, which is a shame.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that people don't realise quite how funny furious people are.
Well, I think
they're scaring, they're intimidating, but they're actually very funny if you're not in the room with them.
Yeah, and I think it's because you recognise that at the point at which somebody is actually screaming at you, they've nothing left.
Yeah.
They it was the last thing they'd got in their armoury in the way.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, yes. So I mean, that, you know, it was extraordinary. Congratulations. I'm sure a lot of people have said that, but I think, you know, that was authority wielded in a very reasonable sort of way. I can imagine there are two people who disagree, but there we are. Right. Now, the reason that we're talking is that you're actually one of our customers.
I am
And
indeed.
not only that, you have been along to the shop to one of our calligraphy lessons with Daisy Pooley Tonkin. How did that go?
Oh, it was great. She was lovely.
Yeah.
It was an interesting group because clearly there were people of all skills.
Yeah.
Absolutely no skills at all. So, you know, but still felt very, very welcomed. And I say there was a lady sitting next to me. Forgive me, I am not good with names.
Yeah.
And you know, she clearly was there to polish her skills.
Yeah.
I kept having a sneaky look over and thinking,
Yeah. Yes, I find that very hard to cope with as well, actually. My handwriting is dreadful.
Well, I have reasonable handwriting, but you know, every now and then you see on Facebook or YouTube and things like that, people promoting the flexible nib pens.
Yeah.
And then they always do this completely free-flowing flourish, and you just think, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
I mean, that is lovely. I just need the right tool. So you buy the right tool, and you find, actually, that's a bit like me buying an accounts program and thinking it's going to make me an accountant.
Yes.
Yep, because it doesn't matter what tool is in my hand, unless I know how to use that, I am not going to achieve.
How did you get on with the dip pen?
I like the dip pen. I find that it's something that I might use for doing signature.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not confident enough to use it for extended writing.
No. I think the problem is you have to keep dipping them, actually, which
and
keeping a consistent line.
It's not only you have to keep dipping, it's the anticipation.
Yeah.
You have to know when you're going to need to dip before you do it.
Yeah.
Because you end up with a kind of, you know, a line that's too faint, and you think, well, that's no problem, I'll just go over it. No.
Yeah. No. Right. And I know that you're a fountain pen user.
Yeah.
Because you bought a couple of us, actually, so there you go.
Yes.
Yes. And very fine pens too.
Now I'm going to go right. You've caught me on my secret vice. So you're embarrassing me there.
Well, I'm going to embarrass you a little further. How many pens have you got, Jackie?
I must have easily about 45, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always know when it's a lot, when people have to think about it and say about. But you're not.
I wouldn't count them. I mean, it's a bit like remember in your student days when you were running out of money.
Yeah.
And you never ever checked your bank balance because you knew you were like what you saw. But you thought, well, there's not much in there, but I'll be okay.
Yeah. And what's your sort of everyday pen? Have you got one, or do you rotate?
No. I'm embarrassed myself now by not remembering what it's called. I recognise it.
There we go. I was hoping it would be that one because you bought it from us. The Lamy 2000.
That's it.
The Lamy 2000. What nib have you got on it?
This is the medium nib.
Right.
I've also got the oblique.
Oh, have you? Excellent.
Which is used, and I've also got the fine. I told you I'm a bit obsessive.
Oh, but I mean, it's just a brilliant pen. I'll show you what I'm using at the moment. Wait a bit, trying to get in here. Whoa, there we go. So I've got the steel version of it, which I thoroughly enjoy. Oh God, hang on, there must be a way of doing. Oh, there we go. That's the steel one.
You are a wicked man. I haven't.
And I absolutely love it. And it's the only extra fine nib I've got. Yes. And it's just pure pleasure.
Yeah.
You know, given my handwriting, I need a bit of help. And I find the Lamy 2000 just does everything right.
Well, I know this sounds daft. My preference for writing neatly is a pencil.
Really?
I've got lovely writing with a pencil, but of course you don't write with a pencil.
Yeah.
If I can just dip out of the screen for a moment, I'll show you the ink I'm using.
Okay.
There we are. Oh, sorry, it's back.
Oh, yes. Lovely.
Now, what I find is when I use my Lamy pen
Yeah.
and my ink, and I'm writing on a fairly average notebook. You know,
Yeah.
it's not a notebook written used for fountain pens.
Yeah.
It is as if I'm writing with a pencil.
Wow.
Because yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Okay, that's brilliant. Right, so every day you've got a Lamy 2000.
Yep.
Yeah. And other times, what else have you got? What other pens have you got?
Oh, I've got a nice collection of Schaeffers. And somebody bought me, 30 years ago,
yeah,
a lovely Lady Schaeffer pen in silver. It's kind of almost like a bark finish, and that writes really nicely.
Yes.
And I think apart from that, I have now I'm just going to sound like some kind of weirdo. I have also bought a couple of collections of cross pens.
Right.
The floral ones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't use them, but they are so pretty to look at.
That is an important part of pen purchasing. Yeah.
Don't regret buying them.
Yeah.
Although I don't use them, but they are.
Yes, I mean, some people have got so many pens, it's inconceivable they could ever use them all, even over the course of a year. Yeah.
Oh, and another favourite that you see, now I'm just remembering the things I put away. And forgive me, I can't pronounce it. The TWSBI.
Twisby.
Yes, and I just noticed they've brought out a rose gold and clear one.
They have. Very nice it is.
I don't really need it, but it does look very nice.
Yes. Well, there you go. There you go. It is a beauty. It is, a nice pen.
They are nice writers. I mean, just straight out the box, that pen writes lovely.
They're sort of trouble-free in the way that Lamy are trouble-free. Actually, they're just beautiful pens. Don't need any sort of fiddling with at all, do they?
Although in truth, I mean, when I first had this, the Lamy, I'm thinking, how do I put ink in it? Because the twist bit at the end is seamless.
It is absolutely seamless. Yeah, brilliant.
Kind of like, I couldn't see where.
You're not unique in having that problem. Actually, they are so beautifully made. Yeah.
You cannot tell that there is a twist at the end.
No, you can just see it on the steel one, but no.
It may well be different on the steel one.
Yeah, but absolutely not. I wonder if they put this, the striations down it. I wonder if they put that on after they made the pen, so that you can, so it looks like, I don't know. That's pure speculation.
Beautiful.
We could ask Mr. Lamy one day, who knows? Yeah. And you use your pen at work? I mean, is it all not all screens for you?
Well, no. I mean, sorry, there is a yes and no at that. Yes, I do use it at work. I'm sitting here at the moment with two screens. I've got a screen open on the left, which has my email and all my notes there. I've got a screen here on the right, which has a duplicate of everything, so that I can have two programs open at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I'm working from home at the moment, so I have that.
Well, of course,
work. So I use a keyboard constantly.
Right.
But I love to take notes by pen.
Yeah.
So I'm not taking notes clearly of what we're talking about today, but if we were having a Zoom meeting about work or something like that, I have my notepad open, and I find there's something about the process of writing that somehow fastens things into your mind that is different. Well, for me, it is different than a keyboard.
Well, actually, there is that's interesting, because there is quite a bit of research that
Right.
suggests if you handwrite notes, you'll understand the subject better.
Yeah.
And your recall will be improved as well. You'll
Yeah.
remember it. So students sort of sitting in a lecture, typing away their notes, are probably missing out on something. They probably get more out of the lecture if they actually handwrote their notes.
I totally get
Thus
that.
speaks a pen salesman.
You know, you've not prompted me to say that. I genuinely believe it. And they also, when I've been asked to do something kind of complicated for work, complicated
Yeah.
for work, a staffing review or something like
Yeah.
that, of a team of people,
Yeah.
what they all do, what they all get paid in terms of, you know, scale and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I can't get it in my head, it won't fit in. And I find that as soon as I start to write it down, and I can write in kind of different places on different pages,
Yeah.
then suddenly it comes together in my head and I can see it. Whereas I don't feel I'd get the same if I was trying to do, I mean, then I'll have to type it up at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't feel able to go straight to the processing on a keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
I think Lloyd talk about their notebooks in terms of being thinking tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're probably right. Yes, I've always found that if something is tricky, if I've got to write not a report these days, but actually putting something down on paper with a pen is just the way to do it. You know, you think much more clearly. There's nothing in between you and thoughts. Basically, they go straight onto the page without having to type away. So yeah.
I think another thing that I'd had some interaction with, it was a shop actually, but a shop, and they've been really helpful. And you know, this will sound like a plug, but actually I often find small businesses with real people running them really helpful. So, but you know, there you go. And it wasn't you, John. I'm sorry. The other thing I'm quite obsessed with that you mustn't tell anybody is paper. They kind of go together. So I picked out one of my nice pieces of paper, matching envelope, of course. And just, I mean, I didn't write very much, just said thank you very much kind of thing. And, you know, that paragraph and sent it. They were so pleased to have received a handwritten letter.
Yeah.
You know, and I do try to do a bit of personal stuff, and writing it is infinitely more personal.
It is.
An email.
It's sort of giving away a bit of yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is, an email isn't, definitely.
It's funny, sorry, obviously it's lovely talking to you. Something that interests me. I find writing style is interesting as well, because I have a notebook writing style, and it's very very uniform. The occasional flourish, but not much, fairly consistent.
Yeah.
And then I have a different writing style when I'm writing to a friend or something, and it looks like my dad's writing.
Yeah.
There are elements of the letters, particularly when you get to the free bits of letters. You know, I don't know what you call them, John, but the tops and the bottoms.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And they are definitely reminiscent of my dad's writing.
Wow.
Definitely.
That's fascinating. Right. Jackie, I've taken up a lot of your time this morning.
It's gone in
25 minutes, we can chat on forever, and maybe we will. But I think this is probably a good time to end the recording, if I can find out how to do it. I'll do the thanks bit now. Jackie, that's been absolutely fascinating. Really enjoyed talking to you. Yeah, thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you in the shop just as soon as things get back to normal. That would be really nice, actually. I think it might be a while, I'm afraid.
So do I. And I think it's a real genuine worry. You know, how small shops like yourself, John, manage to keep over that. You know, I was going to say over the period, but the period isn't finished yet. But I just hope we're still there when we come out of it.
I'm quietly confident that we will be. Yeah, I mean, obviously we've got the website, which keeps the wolf from the door. And I think, you know, I've got to say the help from the government has been extremely good as well. What I do hope is that they right, this is for later, I think. Jackie, thank you very much indeed. Lovely to talk to you. And I'll carry on talking, but I'm just going to close the recording down.